Okay. I hope this is working, and if you are watching this video, this is a posted live stream, and if you want to be a part of the live streams, I go live every morning on my primary morning show, so make sure to please like, turn on the notifications, or maybe leave a comment and subscribe. But I think moving forward, I want to do live streams twice a day, 1 hour live show in the morning, and then later in the day, something like this. So, got some pretty big news, and honestly, I think this took a little longer than I thought it would, but this is happening. Mayor Mamdani signs executive order on sanctuary laws to strengthen protections for New Yorkers. Now, Kamala's media, I don't know what else to call this, Kamala's media team on X, formerly known as Twitter, is reporting this as Mamdani has signed a new executive order that requires ICE to obtain a judicial warrant before entering New York City property. So, I think this is some pretty big news. Not necessarily the most surprising news, but this did happen today. So we're definitely going to take a look into what's happening here. And if you guys are joining the live stream, it's great to see you guys. Make sure to please like the live stream. It helps out a ton so others can see what's happening as well. Thank you guys again. All right, so we actually have a full written article, but first I think we're just going to watch and see what this is about. A little speech from the mayor. Here's what he has to say.
Moral compass to stand alongside the stranger. Government can provide the resources. Let us create a new expectation of City Hall, where power is wielded to love, to embrace, and to protect. We will stand with the stranger today, tomorrow, and all the days that are still to come. And that is why this morning, right here in this moment, I shall sign an executive order that will uphold our city's protection not just of our fellow immigrant New Yorkers, but of all New Yorkers from abusive immigration enforcement.
So I hope you guys caught that wording. Let me play that back real quick so you can listen to the details of the wording right there. And I apologize about the audio. It's low on their end, but listen to that exact wording.
I shall sign an executive order that will uphold our city's protection not just of our fellow immigrant New Yorkers, but of all New Yorkers from abusive immigration enforcement.
So he used the wording "our fellow immigrant New Yorkers" and all New Yorkers, combining it as one.
This order is a sweeping reaffirmation of our commitment to our immigrant neighbors and to public safety as a whole. We will make it clear once again that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant.
Okay, now one thing I do want to point out is this. Although a lot of us probably know this, when it comes to New York City politics, we tend to think New York Democrat. But specifically when it comes to New York City, it's rather unique. New York City police actually work with Homeland Security very close, way closer than they get credit for. In fact, over the summer, you guys might remember this, there was a clash between protesters and Homeland Security, and the New York Police Department had to provide security for the ICE agents. And ICE actually apologized to New York City because, historically speaking, they've always had a really good relationship between departments. Where the relationship starts to, fracture is really at the top here. Whether it's the mayor, whether it's the governor of New York, not the last mayor, this mayor. So, this is expected. But understand this has a massive implication between security forces who operate and work together in New York City. And Homeland Security, the New York Police Department is heavily reliant on Homeland Security and vice versa to work together.
We will make it clear once again that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant. That means our schools, our shelters, and our hospitals. That means we will protect New Yorkers' private data from being unlawfully accessed by the federal government and stand firmly against any effort to intrude on our privacy. No New Yorker should be afraid to apply for city services like childcare because they are an immigrant.
Okay, so yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Again, it's all sort of coming out. We don't really have a response or reaction from the Trump administration. This happened just a few hours ago. And just so you are aware, the timing of all of this is rather interesting considering the governor of New York wants to unveil a new proposal to stand up to ICE. Every time I talk about New York, I have to make distinctions here. New York City is definitely a Democrat stronghold, but upstate New York, outside of New York City, and really the rest of the state of New York, is a Republican conservative stronghold. Not everywhere, but like outside of an Albany, Syracuse, in between the big cities. And because of that, New York uniquely is not necessarily a full-blown sanctuary state. Now, if this gets passed, then you can classify New York as a sanctuary state. This might be a little confusing. There's technically no classification that calls a state a sanctuary state. It's more so the type of laws, such as like the division of police and ICE, stuff like that. Like when you think of Oregon or Washington, we would say that's a sanctuary state. But New York is still not on that level when you look at the politics behind certain police forces actually cooperating with ICE. So we'll get to that in a second. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you're please liking the stream. It helps out a ton. And I think later in the day, for those of you who watch my morning show, I think I might do another stream like later in the day, maybe around this time, and just do like videos like this. Let me know what you guys think. So here is some of this executive order. He signed a new executive order on the city sanctuary laws in an effort to strengthen protections for immigrant New Yorkers and the public safety of all New Yorkers. Now, this word, immigrant New Yorkers, I would have to assume that also means illegal immigrants, I think. But, they use the word immigrant New Yorkers. The mayor announced the executive order Friday morning at an interfaith breakfast. If faith offers us the moral compass to stand alongside government can provide the resources, Mamdani said. Let us create a new expectation of City Hall where power is wielded to love, to embrace, and to protect. We will stand with the stranger today, tomorrow, and all the days that are still to come. Here is what the executive order does. Prohibiting on ICE entering New York City property without judicial warrant. This includes schools, shelters, and hospitals, among others. I am wondering what the among others is. Enhancement of privacy protections to avoid New Yorkers' private data from being unlawfully accessed by the federal government. I am wondering if that also means if the Trump administration wants to try and work with the prison systems. I'm wondering if that also covers that. The creation of an interagency committee to coordinate policy in the event of a major crisis. And I am wondering if they are referring to if New York City will be the next target for a federal surge. And trust me, I can see your comments as far as the whole supremacy clauses. I agree with you. But this to me looks more like an anticipation for something that might happen in New York City. As far as Homeland Security, a few days ago Tricia McLaughlin mentioned that New York City, we are eyeing you down and you might be the next place for a federal surge like you're seeing over in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul. New York Immigration Coalition applauded the executive order. So these are the main bullet points as far as the executive order, in case you guys, again, want to know what that is. But this one to me really stands out. The creation of an interagency committee to coordinate policy in the event of a major crisis. There is something like this in Illinois. I forget exactly what the committee is called, but they investigate everything that happens as far as ICE involved incidents or Border Patrol involved incidents, and they review the footage and the tapes. And this also kind of reminds me of Oregon, where we have counties, cities, and towns which are under a state of emergency because of federal operations. And if you guys watch my videos, you have probably seen those. I know nothing about the free bus rides. I know nothing about the free anything. All I know is this is what's happening right now. I'm just trying to get you guys the news. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. All right. Now, this to me is actually a lot bigger than that. Because again, when we think about New York, we have to remember there are a lot of police agencies, sheriffs that work with ICE and have no problem with cooperation. But this is a new proposal from the governor, unveils new proposal to stand up to ICE. That's what it's called, stand up to ICE. I think that proposal tells you exactly what it's all about.
Kathy Hochul of New York is proposing an end to state and local law enforcement working with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Hochul's proposal, dubbed the Local Cops, Local Crimes Act, would ban the use of 287G agreements, which facilitate the formal cooperation of local police forces with ICE. At a press conference on
And this would 100% make New York officially a sanctuary state, in my opinion. Once you do this, that's where you lean into you are now officially a sanctuary state.
Friday, the governor said these agreements often force local officers to focus on immigration actions rather than their actual responsibility of keeping communities safe. And Governor Hochul joins us now from what we've seen out of Minneapolis.
I don't mean to keep stopping this, but you guys might notice this is the same argument you hear from people who oppose cooperating with ICE. This is the exact same argument the mayor of Minneapolis makes. I only have 600 police officers. They have 3,000 federal agents. We feel like we're overwhelmed. We can't do much here. They have more than us. Yeah. Thank you, Anita, right, for the very generous $10 donation. Thank you so much.
It looks like some residents need to be protected from ICE.
They do.
And so there's a lot of different angles to this story. Tell us what you are hoping to do, especially since you're getting significant signs that ICE is on the way in large numbers.
Yep. They certainly are. And let's step back and why we're having this conversation at all. It shocks the conscience of all Americans that we have to joyfully welcome a 5-year-old home from custody because a judge said to. Not that Kristi Noem had a change of heart or the Trump administration did. A judge ordered them to send a child back who had been held for over 2 weeks after we've had 2 37-year-olds killed, a woman shot in her face and a man shot in the back.
And to be clear, as far as ICE targeting New York, the implication we're getting is that it's New York City. The entire state of New York, I think, would be incredibly difficult for ICE to pull off an operation. New York is very, very challenging logistically. I mean, it takes a long time to cross the state if you're just going to drive. But what Tricia McLaughlin said was New York City. They're talking about New York as a whole, from what I'm gathering, but New York City seems to be the next target.
My God, this country has become unrecognizable. But in New York, we know who we are. And I have to stand up and forbid these agreements. And I want to be very clear. We are not saying that local police cannot cooperate when there's a criminal investigation. This is what the Republicans are going to challenge and conflate. Mm-hmm. We have always done that, always will. We want to protect our communities. But why would we want to divert local law enforcement from the local policing? You know, catching criminals in the streets, stopping gun trafficking, stopping the flow of drugs. I want my local police doing that.
And which, by the way, New York, many people don't realize there is a drug highway, if you will, between Rochester, Albany, the northern part of New York, from Buffalo to Rochester to Albany. And that's where we see a lot of ICE activity. But as far as the in-between parts of New York, that's where I'm arguing I think ICE might have a little bit of complications here. As far as sending in all these federal agents to the entire state of New York, because ICE is already in New York.
And not being deputized for civil-only immigration enforcement. And I don't want my jails filled up with people that they're trying to detain who may even have legal status here, but they don't agree with it. So this is not about criminals. We'll always focus on public safety first. This is not public safety. This is a public abuse of power.
Yeah, and these guys, from what we've seen, the training seems questionable. I mean, it seems...
What training? I don't think there is training. I think they can get it out of a cracker box.
I have to say, it just looks like they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they're brandishing weapons at people at the wrong time. They're stepping in front of cars. They're all clustered together.
Those are quite the accusations. As far as having no training or purposely stepping in front of vehicles, I just wanted to make a comment on that. And the lack of training aspect has definitely become more of a talking point here recently, especially from left-leaning political figures. A lot more recently.
Over the 2 killings that we saw in Minneapolis, I mean, Minneapolis PD, NYPD, any PD would have had the victim in these 2 cases, but down on the ground, the situation de-escalated in 3 seconds. These guys look like a bunch of bumbling idiots carrying weapons that are loaded. It's incredible what we're seeing happen on the streets of America, Jonathan.
Yeah, we're horrified by the images each and every day. Governor, the Trump administration, their line is that they blame the violence in Minnesota on local and state officials, saying, well, if you had just cooperated with us, none of this would have happened. I think we all can see with our own eyes.
Now, there is some context there, and the context would be the Trump administration does say that a lot, but the Trump administration never had a way to prove it. Only by just saying, hey, if you work with us, it seems to make sense, more security. The Trump administration's new talking point is actually take a look at West Virginia, take a look at Louisiana. It's just interesting how those 2 states, when there is cooperation, we had virtually no attacks, not only on agents, but no Americans were detained or arrested because of crossing that line. So keep that in mind when we talk about cooperations. Those would be the 2 data points the Trump administration will tend to point to as far as having some sort of proof for this talking point.
That's simply not true, but I'm sure you're being ready for that similar sentiment expressed towards you after this. And my question is, there's been somewhat of a surprise to some that New York State, in particular New York City, have yet to be an epicenter of ICE activity. Do you anticipate, though, that will happen?
We are trying so hard to avoid this. I stood with our police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, along with police officers, police chiefs, Republicans included, on Friday when I made this pronouncement that they want our local police protecting their communities, not being weaponized to turn against the people that they're trying to build trust with. Law enforcement doesn't want these agreements other than a few counties like Nassau County, where they joyfully went and arrested a high school student as deputies for ICE. That's what's happening, not all over the state and not in New York City, but we're prepared for whatever happens. But I hope Donald Trump sees that this is a community that he has his own investments in. He has buildings here. He has properties. He has a lot of friends in New York City. And Jessica Tisch and working with NYPD and state police cooperating, we are all doing just fine. We do not need a surge. But there are signs that they're trying to build a large detention.
And to be honest with you, that's why I kind of questioned if there was going to be a surge. Now I don't question it if we're moving in the direction it looks like, with Mayor Mamdani here recently signing an order to create a division that really wasn't there. Again, you guys can go and do your own research on this, but ICE, Homeland Security in general, has always cooperated actually generally fine with Homeland Security or the local police forces in New York City. Now we have an implementation that does create some sort of division. And I mean, I just have to use the words of Tom Homan. When you do stuff like that, we have no choice but to send in federal agents. And we're seeing it in real time in Minnesota. When you cooperate, I mean, they got rid of Chief Bovino and they got rid of 700 federal agents. So the Trump administration looks like if you cooperate, we will downsize, but not totally downsize, but we will downsize some if there's some sort of cooperation. When you create a lack of cooperation, I think you set yourself up for more federal agents, as we see in other parts of the country.
Center just 45 miles outside the city. So that's got to get through a lot of state reviews. Let me just say that. I'm going to be looking to see, is it on wetlands? Is there zoning involved? Is there, maybe is there some, snail snails that are environmentally sensitive.
DEP will be busy.
You know, so I just want, that's a warning sign I'm concerned about, but I think they know that if you come after New York City, you will destabilize the economic engine of the country. You do not want to go there.
Yeah, look, beyond the terror of unleashing ICE on this particular city, just the logic of why they even ostensibly need this level of cooperation in these contracts, these 28-7G agreements, because every other headline we see is that ICE is being funded in ways that no other governmental institution has ever been. And so what is the explanation as to why they even need this sort of level of cooperation?
There is none. They used to be a $6 billion agency.
I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you guys think there should be cooperation? Do you think there shouldn't be cooperation? And again, this agreement basically is if you are a police force in whatever state you're in, you have the ability to cooperate with ICE and work with Homeland assets if you find there are illegal immigrants in your area, or you have a situation where there's an illegal immigrant in the area. We make the process a lot easier and not diplomatic, and that's basically what the agreement is.
Not the largest, and now they're 85
It's an open agreement.
billion. They're the size of almost half my budget, right, for the entire state of New York. And what I also saw was they're pulling in people from Border Patrol. They also I saw one image of someone from the Bureau of Prisons. They cannot possibly be trained in conflict de-escalation the way local law enforcement. They don't belong in this. But you're not using our local police. I need them to protect the communities and not have this distrust. And this is what we're hearing, that people are not distinguishing between local police. And we try so hard here to have a positive.
This is the only thing I will somewhat agree on with this talking point, only because Tom Homan is one of the #1 people who say this. Especially with the mayor of Nashville. This happened like a year ago. Tom Homan said, "We do not care if you don't want to work with us. You have the right as a mayor. Mayors have the right to not work with ICE." And this is the #1 argument you always hear. We don't have the manpower to allocate to work with you. And that is fine. As a mayor, you quite literally have that right to make that call. But the problem the Trump admin has is it seems as if every time that's the policy, there seems to be a lot of pushback when we come into your town and we're trying to do our job. And then whenever there's people disrupting residents within your own city, we are the ones who are having to take care of it and not the local police. So make sure you guys understand the argument here, because you're going to hear that a lot. A mayor always has the right to not work with ICE, but there's an expectation from federal agents that you have to police up your city. Just because we're here, that doesn't mean that like chaos and destruction happens. And that was really the big divide in Portland, where Portland federal agents were having to do road control in front of the Portland building. And everyone's like, that's not our job. That's the job of the Portland police. And you guys know how that went down. So keep that in mind.
Relationship with our communities of trust. And I want my police going after the murderers, the rapists, the gun traffickers.
Now, again, we don't know if people are speaking in good faith, where they're just saying, we can't work with you because we don't have a lot of police officers. Meanwhile, they're just using it as an excuse. I'm just trying to let you know that is like the main argument you will typically hear across the board.
Being available for emergencies. And if they're being deputized by ICE under these agreements that just a few of our counties are doing, they're being distracted, and I do not want that, and I'm not going to be supporting that, and we're going to change the law in the state of New York. And also, we have proposed that they cannot go into sensitive locations, churches, synagogues, places of worship, schools, daycare centers, hospitals. The nurses are saying that they're coming into the hospitals. And I cannot believe I had to say this, but knowing that they've changed their rules and their guidance, that they can now go into homes without a warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment, I have to now pass a law in New York that says you can't do that? Come on. This country is not recognizable anymore. But we are standing up. We're taking a strong...
Now, just for clarification, because I know some of you have probably read what that was about, the clarification would be if there was already some sort of judicial process, like if you were told you have to leave the country, that was when Homeland Security can come to your home without a warrant, or into your home without a warrant. So keep that in mind. That would actually be the distinction. Now, whether or not you agree with it, I'm just letting you know that was the green light given to Homeland as to why they can start doing that if they want. As far as the soft spots are concerned, I say this every time. You guys can go and fact check me. You can go look at the policy under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Trump 1, 2. The policy always has been, if you're going to be around sensitive locations, it better be worth it. I mean, it's not verbatim like that, but the wording, you really get the sense of it better be worth it, because there's an understanding that if you're going to go there, it could be very dangerous for everyone. And that is not somewhere that we typically want to operate. And that was even under Obama.
Position, and I'm so proud of the people in Minneapolis and elsewhere.
Yeah.
We're saying enough is enough. We're taking our country back.
You mentioned 5-year-old Liam Ramos in Minneapolis and the judge's order. The judge said the case has its genesis in the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, even if it requires traumatizing children. Democratic Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, thank you very much. We'll be following this with you. Please come back.
Thank you.
Okay, now, while we're talking about New York, I might as well bring this up. AOC recently, who, by the way, represents New York, had something interesting to say. Let me just pull this up for you guys real quick, and let me know what you think about all of this. I am curious. Let me go to Devori Darkin's page. Shout out to Mr. Devori. Yeah, here we go. AOC recently did like a town hall or a speech back in her town in Queens. Check this out.
This most recent election for the House, in many ways, was stolen by the Republican majority. The Republican has like a three-seat majority in the House. Those 3 seats were gerrymandered out of North Carolina last cycle. And so we would have either an even split House or a narrow Democratic majority were it not for that. And that's why I'm so glad that both we fought back in California in order to even the field, and Virginia is just issuing maps tonight to turn Virginia into a 10 Democratic, 1 Republican map. And so the reason this is important, though, is because it's not just about what party has more votes in Congress. The party with more votes gets all the committee chairs. They get all the gavels. They control all the investigations. They determine what bills can even come to the floor for a vote in the first place or not. And so there are legitimate areas where things that we can do, investigations, etc., are not possible. But there are things that we can do. A lot of it has to come down to obstruction. We can not give them the votes that they need. Their margin is so slim right now that they actually very often do need Democratic votes. And so what requires is holding our whole caucus 100% together in order to prevent these things.
All right, so that was technically yesterday, and there's a bunch of other clips really going viral from that as well. Thank you, Mr. Devori, for that. So yeah, that was AOC, and then AOC was also in that speech, or during that speech, was talking about setting up points to track ICE or to organize, look out for ICE if they do come into New York City. So, yeah, that is pretty much all the news we have right now. Oh, let's watch this.
The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad,
This is the same speech.
sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, "As for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world." Or, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers."
Okay. So that's that. Alrighty, so yeah, I just wanted to get onto this, do a live stream real quick, and I think moving forward, and by the way, Kamala HQ, or she's known as HQ now, posted about this as well. Yeah, I think moving forward, I'm going to do a live show every morning, the morning show. A lot of you guys seem to enjoy it, hopefully. And then later in the day, I will do a quick live stream just to sort of give you guys a breakdown as to what's going on. I'm still trying to figure out formatting, but I hope you guys enjoy the live streams. They seem to be like interactive, and you guys can give your comments immediately, and we can go through things immediately, so... Yeah, that is what I wanted to show you guys, and I will definitely be waiting for some sort of response from the Trump administration. As of right now, there seems to be really no response. Not yet, at least. And wow, we Vet for Peace sent 5 T-SPLY memberships. Thank you so much for the generosity, and thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate it. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope I was as fair as possible with everything. And yeah, make sure to please subscribe, leave your comments, but most important, please pray for peace. We need that right now. Yeah, prayers for peace, for sure. And thank you guys again for everything. God bless all of you. Seek Christ. And I thank you guys so much. Thank you. God bless, and we'll see you all later.